All right, now to the story everyone is talking about. Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning threatening to sue after a report that he was one of several professional athletes to use performance-enhancing drugs. According to Al Jazeera, human growth hormones were sent to Manning's wife while he was recovering from a neck injury in 2011. But the source who reportedly worked at the clinic in question was actually an intern and has since retracted a statement saying the story was made up. Here's Peyton Manning reacting on ESPN.
I think I rotate, Lisa, between being angry, furious, on and on, but disgusted is really how I feel, sickened by it, that I'm not sure I understand how someone can make something up about somebody, admit that he's made it up, and yet it somehow gets published in a story.
Anna Yum is a defense attorney and former prosecutor. Brian Claypool is a criminal defense attorney. Welcome to you both. Gotta say, I've never seen Peyton Manning so upset before. Brian, this was quite the bomb that was dropped this weekend in sports news. Obviously, Manning wanting a lot of explaining here. Who looks the worst in this situation? This pharmacist, intern, whoever he is, or Al Jazeera?
Well, we don't know yet, Abby, and I think what Peyton Manning has to be careful with is be careful what you wish for. Because the big issue for him right now is, because we don't have all the facts, is should he file a civil lawsuit? And he has to be careful, because if he does, Abby, there's a lot of discovery that would take place. There's depositions that would take place. There's subpoenas that will be issued for all the medical records and all the purchase orders, allegedly, for the HGH. And what that could possibly do is fuel a criminal investigation against him. So although Peyton might have a good civil case, he has to be careful about what his goal is here. He has to immunize himself from criminal liability. The way to do that is to not file a civil lawsuit at this time.
Yeah, Anna, Brian brings up a good point. This could open up a whole can of worms for Peyton Manning. He's saying that he wants to sue. But speak more to that. If he does go forward with a lawsuit, I mean, that could open up a whole other investigation into a place that he doesn't want to be, also including family members, his wife.
That's absolutely right, Abby. There's a difference between threatening to file a lawsuit and actually winning a defamation lawsuit when you're a public figure. A public figure has a more difficult burden in proving defamation, because a public figure actually has to prove actual malice, which means that they must prove that when the statement was made, the person making the statement knew it was false and showed a reckless disregard for whether it was true or not. That's not an easy burden. So that's one thing that Peyton Manning will have to consider. Now, another thing that he has to consider, let's also keep in mind that he's not a stranger when it comes to defamation. Remember, he defended against a defamation lawsuit back in 2003 when a former University of Tennessee trainer filed a defamation lawsuit against him. So he knows that, or he should know, that as a public figure, his life becomes an open book, which means that what Brian was saying, through the pretrial discovery process, there are going to be things in his life that will potentially be exposed that he may not want to have exposed to the public. That's something that he really has to be careful about if he does consider to file this lawsuit.
Brian, he was asked about his wife, and he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to go there. If you were representing him, what would you advise him to do? Would you tell him to go ahead and sue, or do you say, you know what, there's too much at stake here, this is very complicated, let's just sit this one back?
Yeah, great question. Anna's right. As it stands now, Abby, Peyton Manning and his wife are protected by HIPAA laws, these federal laws that preserve his privacy and his wife's privacy when it comes to medical issues. Now, he has to preserve that. My recommendation is don't file a lawsuit to preserve that privacy. And what he should do is what he's doing, which is canvass the media, tell everybody how ridiculous this guy is, and he's retracting. He's already putting pressure on this informant by saying, hey, I might sue. That's a good strategy. Keep it at that. Force this guy to retract. And another thing real quick, Abby, is what damages can Peyton really get? His career is at the end anyway. So he's already made a lot of money through endorsements. Yeah. So don't risk a criminal investigation.
My understanding also with that, Brian, my understanding is that his team, the Colts and the Broncos, they're all supporting him. And although the NFL has no comment right now, people are supporting him. If you file a lawsuit, it potentially generates publicity that he doesn't want, meaning it spreads to a more wider audience and it starts questioning.
This may only be the beginning. Anna, Brian, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Abby.
Thanks, Abby.